As one of the older people in the room here, right, I think about what the world was like in 2000 to 2005. And at that era, I had just come out of the telecom boom, the big growth of international telecoms, and the foundational infrastructure of the internet had just been built. You just had the first fiber being laid. All of those companies had now gone bankrupt because they incurred too much debt. And as a young professional, I raced into that market because that's where I saw the opportunity. Everyone else was telling me I was crazy. These companies are bankrupt. They're not going anywhere. But I knew that sort of fiber and telecom infrastructure would be worth something. And lo and behold, social media arrived. Lo and behold, SaaS companies arrived. Lo and behold, this company that sold books on the internet called Amazon built an entire infrastructure and backbone to support it. And, fast forward ahead for 15, 20 years, now that infrastructure is sort of the core of everything, going on in the digital world, period. And then, a couple of years ago, along emerged, 10 years ago, but in mainstream adoption 5 years ago, right? Crypto appeared on the scene, this sort of whole new decentralized infrastructure. What I saw was something that's very similar to what I saw back then, but different characteristics. Decentralized networks have different requirements than centralized networks. Decentralized networks have different pressure points. The needs and requirements of the flashing lights in the data center are simply different than they are for serving a SaaS company or serving whatever. So one of the things that I did, I have a venture fund called Silvermine Capital, but one of the first things that I figured out was this is all very similar to my telecom roots. And I knew that sort of the modern infrastructure that supported these new decentralized protocols and even things like AI would be similar to, but not the same as the infrastructure that supports existing SaaS companies and social media, et cetera. So we built this company called Global Stake with the idea of operating bare metal infrastructure globally and sort of fine tuning what we're doing where the clientele is decentralized protocols and the clientele is, thinking about different requirements than a typical SaaS company thinks about. At the end of the day, what we found is the things that the guys do in the data center are 80% the same as the things that they do when they're serving a large, one of our guys built Match.com's infrastructure. 80% of it's the same as that, but the 20% makes a big difference. And the latency considerations and all of these things and controlling your own routing are going to start more and more and more making a difference to how funds are going to be successful executing strategies, how protocols are going to be successful gaining adoption and differentiating ourselves. And my approach to the world was like, let's build something that's not move fast and break things. Let's build something that's more like the telecom world where we have more knobs and dials that we can operate with. And eventually institutions will care about that, and that's what we did.